Hello students, this is the continuation of the video number 2. That is, in the last video we saw that how Indian National Congress was established, who were the main leaders, and where was his first session held. Now after this Indian National Congress was established, what activities they did we'll study further. So open page number 17, 7. The Indian National Congress 1885-1905 in the initial stages. The initial activities of the Indian National Congress were moderate and abided by the Constitution. It included putting up demands for more political rights, economic and social growth, and development of education. Among other demands, inclusion of more Indians in government services, reduction of expenditure on military and other administrative departments, debt relief to farmers, revival of the cottage industries, etc. were included. The British government turned down these demands. However, these demands laid down a strong foundation for the future struggle. So, the Indian National Congress was established, and which was the first activity that were included, and these activities were moderate and were abided, that means they were accepted by the Constitution. So the activities were, they asked for more political rights, economic and social growth and development of education. Secondly, their other demand was to give more government job to Indians and reduce the expenditure on military. मिलिट्री पे जो खर्चा है उसको कम करने का, and stop the military to go and fight for the world war. फ्री द फार्मर्स फ्रॉम द डेप्ट, किसानों ने जो कर्जा लिया था उसमें से उसको मुक्त करो. द स्मॉल इंडस्ट्रीज विच हैव बीन क्लोज्ड शुड बी रीस्टार्टेड. सो कॉटेज इंडस्ट्रीज जो बंद हो गई थी उसको पुनः चालू करने का. These were the demands which were put before the Britishers when the Indian National Congress established. But all these demands were not fulfilled by the Britishers. So, the Indians laid a strong foundation for the freedom struggle. So, now the Indians knew that without this struggle, without the revolt, the Britishers were not going to fulfill their demands. The Indian National Congress passed many resolutions such as the expansion of Legislative Council and keep at least 50% elected representatives in it at the central and regional level. The parliament should be more answerable and transparent to the regional assemblies. Due to the demand of the Indian National Congress, the British government granted more freedom to the press and granted more personal liberty and freedom of speech to the people of India. The Indian National Congress inspired many educated youth and fostered nationalism in the educated class. As a result, many capable and potential leaders joined this organization. Now, the Indian National Congress became more active and they passed many resolutions. Resolution means decisions, sankalpa, prastav. And among these, one was to keep 50% elected representatives in the central and regional level and to expand the legislative council. Then to fight election and give freedom of speech. More educated people joined in this movement and capable leaders also joined in. So the result was that more pressure was put on the Britishers, and now they realized that Indians would not allow them to rule, and so they introduced a policy and that policy was policy of divide and rule. So policy of divide and rule means ભાગલા પાડો અને રાજ કરો. The initial support by the British government to the Indian National Congress soon turned into hostility. The British government officials used to attend the session of the Indian National Congress, but later on the government banned the practice. So, at first, the Britishers started giving support to the Indian National Congress because they knew that if they didn't give the support, then the Indians would not allow them to rule in India. So, in the starting period, this gave support to the Indian National Congress, but slowly they started suppressing it. दबाने लगे, hostility, शत्रुता करने लगे. The British government officers attended the session of Indian National Congress, but afterwards they stopped it. Governor General Lord Curzon took certain steps against the interest of the national integrity and ignored the opinion of the Indians. He partitioned Bengal in 1905 CE as a part of his policy of divide and rule. Then Governor General Lord Curzon, he took certain steps against the unity of Indians, उन लोगों को एक करने के लिए, and ignored the opinions of Indians. And whatever suggestion Indians gave, that suggestion he ignored, and they started to unite Indians. And like this, Lord Curzon divided Bengal into two parts, that is East Bengal and West Bengal. The East Bengal has become Bangladesh now. Today we know it as Bangladesh, and in this there were more Muslims, and like this Lord Curzon, they separated Hindu and Muslim. Partition of Bengal 1905. Bengal was the biggest province of the British India. It included certain parts of Bihar and Orissa with a population more than 7 crores 80 lakhs. Then what reason Lord Curzon gave for dividing Bengal or for partition of Bengal? He said that Bengal was the biggest province and राज्य बहुत बड़ा राज्य था, and thus Bengal included certain parts of Bihar and Orissa with a population of more than 7 crores 80 lakhs. It was necessary to divide Bengal since the administration of such a big province was becoming difficult. Instead of removing the parts of Bihar and Orissa, Eastern Bengal, with a majority of Muslim population, was separated from it. And what reason Lord Curzon gave? He gave the reason that Bengal was a very big province, बहुत बड़ा राज्य था, and administration was not possible of such a big province. So it was necessary to divide Bengal so that the administration can be done smoothly. And like this, Bengal was divided. Now, while division or while partition, instead of removing Bihar and Orissa, Eastern Bengal was separated, which has a majority of Muslim population. Bengal was the most active province in nationalist activities at that time. The main intention of Lord Curzon was to promote communal differences between Hindu and Muslims by this action, and thus weaken the momentum of political awakening among the people. National leaders and the common people understood the intention behind the partition and opposed it intensively. Now, when the partition was done, Bengal was the most active province, and the intention of Lord Curzon, उसका intention क्या था? To promote communal differences between Hindu and Muslims. हिंदू और मुस्लिम के बीच में झगड़ा करवाने का वो उसका इंटेंशन था. by this, and like this weaken the momentum of political awakening. अगर हिंदू और मुस्लिम दोनों झगड़ने लगे तो जो पॉलिटिकल अवेकनिंग थी, जो यूनिटी थी, वो नष्ट हो जाएगी. Now the national leaders and the common people understood the intention behind this partition. So the leaders and the educated common people, now they understood, उन लोगों को पता चल गया कि लॉर्ड कर्जन का इंटेंशन खराब है, एंड दे अपोज्ड इट इंटेंसिवली. उन लोगों ने इसको बड़े स्ट्रॉन्ग वे से उसको विरोध किया. अपोज यानी विरोध किया. Now turn your page number 18. Bang Bang movement, that is movement against the partition of Bengal. So they opposed this partition of Bengal and they started Bang Bang movement. People opposed this effort to break the unity and integrity of Bengal by rallies, demonstration, and by distributing pamphlets. Vande Mataram song from the novel Anand written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay became the popular slogan during this protest. The nation was swept by a strong wave of nationalism. So how did people started oppose? They opposed by rallies, by demonstration, and distributing the pamphlet. Then a song Vande Mataram, which is our national song today, written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, taken from the novel Anand, became an important slogan during this protest. And like this, a strong wave of nationalism spread in the country. People in Bengal observed the day of implementation of the partition as the mourning day, and the day on which this Lord Curzon partitioned Bengal, people in Bengal, they observed it as a mourning day. Mourning day, that is, उन लोगों ने शोक दिवस, उसको नाम क्या दिया? शोक दिवस. People went on a strike all over the region. हड़ताल कर दी पूरे region में. As per the suggestion of Rabindranath Tagore, that day was also celebrated as the Day of Unity. And Rabindranath Tagore told the people to celebrate the day as Day of Unity because the people of the whole nation were united as one. सब लोग एकजुट हो गए, एक साथ हो गए. So Rabindranath told it to celebrate as a day of unity. The next is Swadeshi movement. It was decided to intensify the movement against the partition of Bengal and expand its base. The main three characteristics of the movement were to trade and use Indian goods only. Second, to boycott imported goods. Third, to acquire national education and boycott the English education. So now it was decided, so नक्की कर दिया था, that the movement should be expanded. Bang Bang movement should be expanded, and in this movement they should fight for the three things, that is to trade and use Indian goods only, that is we should use the goods made in our country, Atmanirbhar Bharat, to boycott the imported goods, that is Chinese goods ka bahiskar, and to acquire national education and boycott the English education. So we should study in our mother tongue and not in the English education. To achieve this goal, a committee was formed under the leadership of renowned members of the Indian National Congress like Surendranath Banerjee, Bipin Chandra Pal, Arvind Ghosh, etc. So, to achieve the goals, these three goals were to be achieved, and for them a committee was made where well-known leaders Surendranath Banerjee, Bipin Chandra Pal and Arvind Ghosh were its members. They urged the Indians to boycott foreign goods and clothes and use Swadeshi goods. Then these leaders, they urged उन्होंने आग्रह किया, परसुएट, समझाया लोगों को कि यू टू बॉयकॉट फॉरेन गुड्स का बहिष्कार करो, बॉयकॉट, एंड यूज स्वदेशी गुड्स, हमारे देश में बने हुए कपड़े इस्तेमाल करो। थ्रू आर्टिकल्स इन न्यूज़पेपर, procession, public meetings, and folk songs, people were made to understand the importance of using Swadeshi goods. Then, how they introduced the Swadeshi goods to the people? Through articles in newspaper, प्रोसेसन, रैली, जलूस निकाला, पब्लिक मीटिंग में सबको बताया, फोक सॉन्ग, एंड लाइक दिस पीपल वर मेड अंडरस्टूड the importance of using Swadeshi goods. Factories were started to produce Swadeshi goods. The import of goods like textile, salt, shoes, sugar, cigarette, tobacco, etc. from England decreased, and drastically the sale of Indian commodities and textile increased. So, the factories which produce Swadeshi goods were started, and the various goods like textile, salt, shoes, all these which were brought from the England, it decreased, वो कम हो गया वहाँ से आने का, and like this the sale of Indian commodities and textile increased, इंडिया में बनी हुई वस्तु का वेचाण बढ़ गया. The Swadeshi movement spread in other parts of India too, and this movement it spread in the other part also, and slowly all over the country the Swadeshi movement started. Then the national education. The third feature associated with the Swadeshi or the boycott movement was the national education. So the third point was to achieve our national education. So we accepted Swadeshi goods, we boycotted the foreign goods, and the third, now national education. Students took an active part in the Bang Bang movement. As a result, many punitive actions such as levying fine or expelling students from the school college were taken by the government. Now, the students also started taking part in this Bang Bang movement. And when the students took the parts, the government, what step the Britishers, what they did? They started levying fine, उन लोगों को दंड करने लगे, and expelling students from the school or college, यानी school और college में से उन लोगों को निकाल दिया. So now the students were angry, and like this arrangement of national school and colleges was started. So when the Britishers they expelled the students from the school and colleges, the result was that the national school and colleges started in our country. In 1907 CE, 25 national secondary schools and 300 national primary schools became functional in Bengal, and slowly so many schools and colleges started in Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore started Vishwabharati School in Santiniketan in 1901 CE. Then Rabindranath Tagore, his own started school named Vishwabharati School in Santiniketan. The British government failed in subsidizing the Bang Bang movement. So like this, the British government was not successful in Bang Bang movement, that is the partition of Bengal. Now page number 19. Finally, the British government had to cancel the partition of Bengal in the year 1911 CE. So like this, the Britishers were not successful in the partition of Bengal, so they have to cancel it, and that was in the year 1911. It was a historical and a memorable victory of the people of Bengal, and like this, the Britishers changed the decision regarding the partition of Bengal, and this was a memorable यानी एकदम यादगार मेमोरेबल एंड विक्टोरियस जीत हो गई इंडियंस की ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ बंगाल, बंगाल के लोगों की जीत हो गई. दैट वॉज अचीव्ड थ्रू पीसफुल एंड नॉन वायलेंट मीन्स. एंड दिस विक्ट्री, ये जीत उन लोगों ने कैसे हासिल की? peacefully, Shanti se, and non-violent, that is ahimsa se. So students, now rest of the chapter we will continue in the next video.